Hey, what's going on, y'all? It's your boy Lump Dog, your favorite fantasy football commissioner's favorite fantasy football commissioner. I'm back with another PPH video Commish Msg stay-at-home edition 4.0. Man, I've been locked down here in the media briefing room for too damn long, still masked up because I care about you and your loved ones because you never know who might have that coronavirus. As many people might not know, the pandemic has not gone away. It's still here. And make sure you stay wearing your mask. Keep that social distancing going. And also make sure to like and subscribe to my channel. The support helps out more than you know for the channel and getting it out there. So, anyway, I know it's been a while since I come out here. But this time I'm going to bypass the viral viewer questions because some of the PPH members are thinking that these off-season messages are a little too long. And I'm just going to stick to the members' questions this week, or I should say this time around. So we'll go ahead and it should be pretty quick here. So the first question here comes from Brian Montano, our one of our newer members, been around for about 5 years now. Anyway, he wants to know, Lump, why are you so sympathetic to Antifa? Well, first off, Antifa means anti-fascist, right? So they're anti-fascist, and we have to understand we use words, right? And words have meaning and they have definitions. So we all are on the same page. So let's first understand what fascism is. So what we're going to do here is we're going to look up the word fascism in the dictionary because that's what we use to define words so we understand we're all on the same page here. So fascism is often a political philosophy, movement, or regime that exists nation and often race above that exalts, nation and often race above the individual that stands for centralized autocratic government headed by a dictatorial leader, severe economic and social regiments, and forcible suppressions of the opposition. So meaning that the opposite party gets forcibly put down or quelled. So you can't have dissenting views. So why wouldn't you be anti-fascist? Why would you want that? Why would you want to be pro-fascist? So if I'm sympathetic to Antifa, that means I'm anti-fascist. So it means I'm against these things what the word is defined by, fascism. So I don't know. Are you into into dictatorial, autocratic leaders, Montardo, as we call them in the league, Tardo? Is that what you stand for? Is that what you like? You want the opposite political party to be quelled and suppressed? So then if a Democratic president was in, that they could just suppress and quell any type of Republican opposition? I don't think you would be for that. So I would actually think that you're probably anti-fascist, and you would probably be a little sympathetic to Antifa and what they stand for. Usually we see Antifa at anti-Nazi or against Nazis or white supremacists, and I'm all for that. Now, some of their tactics I don't stand for, right? So just because you support a group doesn't necessarily mean that you support everything about that group. So I support what they stand for. I support that they have a good message of anti-fascism. Now, some of the tactics that they take I might not agree with. So maybe they get a little out of control, want a little bit of anarchy, and it's really not even an organization. That's the other thing. Antifa isn't an organization. There's no leader of Antifa. There is no membership roles like, okay, here's our second in command. It's just a loose group of people that all have the same sort of political philosophy against anti-fascism. So to say that I'm sympathetic to Antifa is correct because, again, I am anti-fascist. I do not stand for fascism. I do not like to put race and individual that stands for a centralized autocratic government. So no, I'm not for that. I would like more of a democracy. All sides get heard. Everyone has an equal say. So that's why I'm sympathetic to Antifa, I guess. So there you go, Tardo. Little fog juice for you. Little fog, get a little juicy because you got a little foggy there for you. A little juiciness for you. All right. So going into the second question, And as you can tell from my viral viewers out there, PPH likes me to, in the off season, to touch on some hot topics, some social and political topics, which I try to tend to stay away from, just because it's I'm the only one here on video. No one else has to show their face on video to say how they feel and stuff like that. So I try not to get too political, but the league wants me to touch on these things, so that's what I'll do. I'll answer their questions. I told them I'd answer anything they posted on the board, so that's what I'm doing. Next one is from Mr. Slovak. Lump, can you go over the history of the league? Who was there in the first year, and where have you drafted in the last 20 years? Well, Slovak, that's a really long and drawn-out question, going over the entire 20-year history of the league. Most of this stuff is on the website. If you go under league details and then history, you can take it all the way back down to 2000 to see exactly what happened in the playoffs and the scores. But pretty much the first people in the league were me, Patty, Darren, Foster, Dan the Brother Man, Paul Kilborn, Sean Bowman, A1 Yola, and there was 10 of us. So I think that's about. I mean, there might have been one or two more that I can't think of right now off the top of my head. Again, go to the league history; it'll show you who was in the league at the time. So it was a 10-team league, and Ben Hardo. Oh, Ben, I forgot him. He won it the very first year. After that, Foster won back-to-back champions after we went to the 12-teamer. But actually, if you go back and look at the history, Ben beat Darren in the finals. And I think that's the only time Darren has ever made the finals, was the very first year of the league. Ever since then, he's been a constant cellar dweller. So, go figure. Anyway, where we drafted over the years, so the first couple years was always just at someone's house or in a garage. Nothing special. About, 7 or 8 years in, maybe even a little longer than that. Maybe it was more like 11 years in. We decided we wanted to go and do a draft in Tahoe. So we went out to Tahoe. Foster put 2 suites on his card. We all paid him back except for Dan the Brother Man. He didn't pay, so that's still held against him to this day for that draft room. But anyway, we all paid it, we chipped in, and we had a great time. It was a good draft, and we drafted in Tahoe at Harris Suites, and I think we did that for 2 years in a row. And then we went to Reno after that. So then we did Reno during the Rib Festival for a couple years, and that's when Dookie swindled us into getting player cards at the Golden Sierra. And so anyway, we had to draft in Reno for a couple years, and then we took it to Vegas. So we kind of gradually built up to Vegas. We didn't just say, hey, we're going from a garage, we're going to Vegas. We first did it in Tahoe, then we did it in Reno, and then we did these for a couple years in a row. And then after I think it was about 4 or 5 years of doing it away successfully in Tahoe and Reno, then we ended up doing it in Vegas for about 5 years. So we were doing it in Vegas, and then now that's led up to the 20th anniversary, which we're supposedly going to Tennessee, but this whole pandemic thing, man, I don't know. It might not be shut down, but it might not be smart to go either. So we'll see how that goes. We'll see how it plays out. I keep hearing that Nashville Josh is telling us that the dance floors are open. Haven't seen any video of that. We just read today that Kid Rock's bar got their beer license suspended for not following the 75% capacity rules. Josh from Nashville is telling us that Nashville Underground's been at 100% capacity when that's against the rules. So I'm not sure if they're one of the people that got one of their liquor or beer licenses suspended too. He says the dance floor is open, but it's hard for me to believe. And then I find it too. He sends a text on the text thread showing that Kendrick Bourne and Trent Taylor and some other 49ers went over to Nashville Underground. And then the next freaking day, Niner get test positive for COVID. And then Nashville, we had Deebo Samuel break his foot. We had Richie James break his wrist. We had a COVID case. I mean, Nashville is not doing the Niners proper right now, man. So it's just not starting Nashville on a good foot for me, for the commish. I'm just telling you, it's just starting off on a bad foot when my Niners are getting injured and getting diseases out there in Nashville, Tennessee, and because y'all ain't following mask guidelines, because you ain't following social distance guidelines, and you're all having supposedly dance floors are open. Right? Like I said, I need to see some video proof of that, Josh Pemberton. I'm not saying I don't believe you, but I don't believe you. And you get a little fog juice for that because you ain't sending no video. Nobody on no dance floor. So it gets real juicy up in here when you start. You have the twit picking onto the text thread, or it didn't happen. That's the PPH motto, right? Send pics or it didn't happen. All right, and then the last question here from Cut Free. Hey, Lump, can you comment on the new bonus 20 for 20 rule? How many times did a player score exactly 20 last season, and would it have changed the outcome of any games? Well, unfortunately, I got word from our analytics and stats department here at PPH that the live scoring is not available yet, and we can't go back and look at last year's scores to answer this question, to actually look it up and find the stats. You know, the actual, see if the 20 for 20 rule fell in or changing any games. Just to let you know, though, for all the viral viewers, that's one of our crazy rules this year. Is it's only for the 20th anniversary. That if anyone, and this is good to know, Slovak and Josh from Nashville, that if any player scores exactly 20 points on the dot, they get a 20-point bonus. And so just be aware of that. And that's going to happen as a manual update. That's not going to be automatic. So, you know, the next day or whatever it is, I'll be scanning the scores and going in there and awarding 20-point bonuses for any player. What I didn't understand, I don't think we talked about at the rules meeting, and maybe we did, was that if you win the weekly, right, but somebody else in another game gets that 20-point bonus, and then that ends up getting them the highest score, do they then get the week? I think we did. I think they do get that weekly prize. So I think we did do that, but I'll make sure we're all refreshed on that and not have a hazy memory like the commish does at the draft, wherever that might be, whether it's in Tennessee or some other place. But we'll see how it goes. So we only had really 3 questions. You could tell that the league is kind of dying down on their questions. They don't have as many over the last few weeks. I don't know if the pandemic is just boring them out, and they just don't feel like dealing with fantasy football at this time. It is kind of downer to see all these players getting the COVID and finding out, man, Dr. Fauci comes out and says that he doesn't even think there's going to be a football season. So who knows? I don't know. We'll see where we're at the end of July. That's what I've been saying since day one. Let's see where we're at the end of July, and that was the whole reason that we tried to book a room with a later cancellation date, but somehow the PPH, being PPH, booked a room with a $1,000 cancellation fee. So there we have it. We just made it more expensive to go to Tennessee because Britt Staines decided he wanted to have an executive decision and only have 4 people make that decision, which Cone and the champ, I guess our reigning champ, but the rookie, Paulie, get to have a say in it. I mean, they're paying members, so I don't mind them having a say in it, but we could have hashed that over the text message in the Illuminati thread, but for some reason y'all wanted to get together and just hash that out and decided to get a $1,000 cancellation room detection room, so room noise detection room, which made it now more expensive for everybody. So thank you. Thank you, Britt. Thank you, Luke. Thank you, Foss. Thank you, Cone. And thank you, Paulie, for making it just a little bit more expensive for the 20th anniversary. I really appreciate that. So there you have it. That's all the questions for have this week. Again, send to me anything. I'll come up here on video. That's what a leader does. They come out here. They answer your questions. They get it real juicy for you. Real juicy. And I'll check you out next time. Lump Dogs out.